Will Cayetan, Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative, live here in Hazard, Kentucky from the Holler Professional Broadcasting Studio. We have a special opportunity for you, teachers and students. Today, I am joined by my colleagues and friends. To my right, left, I'm always going to get it wrong, Liz Jones and Brian Fields from the Kentucky Career Center. And you have seen us at the conferences. They have been mainstays presenting ed sessions that are all about helping you with those all-important skill sets moving forward as you transition, albeit while you're still in high school, into the workforce and beyond. So enjoy this opportunity with them, and thanks so much, Brian and Liz, for making this happen. You look fabulous. I'm going to excuse myself, and off we go.
We're going to talk about some of the processes we do and coach people on through our services on how to get a job and the processes we advise to do so. To start, we always advise a resume. A resume should be professional, no more than 1 or 2 pages at the very most. Must include references with valid contact information. No spelling or grammatical errors. Be sure you have somebody proofread your resume before you start handing that out to employers.
And the next thing that we will be doing is your job searches. There's many different ways to do a job search. One of those will be in person, going business to business to see if they're doing paper applications. Most companies at this time are no longer doing paper applications. Occasionally you will run across a few. Most of them are doing online applications. Those will be on the company websites. To be able to find those, sometimes you can look on Indeed, Monster, different types of social media pages. We also post a lot of job listings here with the Career Center on Focus Career and things like that also. Company pages have shared information that is on social media, so a lot of those you can see across a lot of different job search engines. So that's a couple different ways that you can look for jobs online. We also would advise, if you are looking for a job, to try to come into the Career Center and get a career advisor, because we always have a lot of jobs in the hidden job market, because we will have employers to call us looking for a specific type of person for a specific job that they have, but they don't want to advertise it, so they're not beat to death with job seekers. So a lot of those we will know about that you won't know from anything online or through the employer's website, because they won't list those. They will just call us. We've built those relationships with them, so they will call us and ask us to help them find a good fit for that position. So always, once you begin looking for a job, check in with your Career Center and get you a career advisor, and they can help you with some of these things that we will be going over today.
I would say probably half of the jobs posted are, half of the jobs available are not posted, actually. So it is really good to come in person. A lot of employers, they don't like to post because they get bombarded with applications. So be sure to let in person be one of your methods of job search. Next on our list is the job interview. We do mock interviews through the Career Center, and I've got what I call my top 10 tips for the interview, and the first one is the practice interview. The benefit of doing a practice interview, it helps prepare for quick responses, builds confidence, and it provides the tools to give a great first impression. I've always heard you never get a second chance to make a first impression, so very worth the effort put in for a mock interview or practice interview. We do these through the Career Centers, and definitely worth doing.
I would advise everyone to have a mock interview at some point in their life, because no one is natural at being interviewed. It's something that, along with many other things in your life, it's just you're better at it if you've had some practice. So it's you're kind of rehearsing your answers. That way they don't seem so rehearsed at the time that you're actually doing the interview. You're going to feel much more comfortable answering those questions if you've had some guidance from us on how the employer would like for those things to be answered. So we just kind of coach you more or less.
And Liz, she's our employer rep. She goes out and meets with employers, finds out the styles of interviews that they do. There's everything from panel interviews where you have more than one sitting across from you conducting an interview, Zoom or Skype interviews where you're talking into a camera, one-on-one, which is kind of uncommon anymore, but it still happens. So she can find out kind of what style interview they're going to be doing and the idea of what they're looking for as far as questions and answers. So it really helps you get prepared.
Through working with local employers and building those relationships, it does help me to bring back some inside information to you to help you to be able to give a better interview and to be able to answer the things the way that the employer wants those questions to be answered.
Number 2 on my top 10 list for an interview is to be engaging and friendly. Be engaging and friendly to everyone, especially the secretaries and the greeting staff. They communicate with the people doing the interview, the hiring managers. So it's really good to be polite and engaging with those guys, because a lot of times they put a lot of stock in the opinion of the frontline staff. If possible, instead of sitting in a lobby, maybe scrolling on your phone or just sitting waiting for the interview, if the opportunity comes about, strike up a conversation with them. Be very nice and just take good use of your time.
Sorry, Brian.
You want to do number 3?
And you're going to want to come in with some questions when you're getting prepared for an interview. In some of those questions, you're going to want to ask, the most important question I feel like is you would ask the employer, when do you expect to fill this position? And will I be contacted to let me know if the position has been filled? So I'm not holding out hope to receive a call for an offer for that position.
And a lot of times, I help with some of the interviews at LKLP. Our hiring process gets delayed either by having to reschedule interviews or some unforeseen circumstance. And by the time we've got around to making a decision, the people have either stopped waiting on the phone call or accepted positions other than ours. So it's good to find out when they expect to make that decision.
Another example would be, is there opportunities for advancement within this agency? That's always a good question to ask employers, because that shows them that you're looking to stay employed with them and not kind of job hop and go from job to job, that you're looking to stay with them for long term. So if you're asking them if there's room for advancement, they see that you are looking to stay there long term. And that's always a great thing with employers, because it costs a lot of money to train people. So employers like to keep their turnover rates as low as possible. So with them seeing that you're looking long term at staying with them, that gives them a good thing to look at with you and to keep, and that's the last few things that they're going to see with you are these questions. These are things that are going to be asked at the end of the interview. So that's going to be the last thing on their mind are these questions that you've asked them. So it's really important to ask good questions when you're rounding up your interview.
My number 4 on the list is to research the company. Most employers have a web page, and a lot of companies, we for one will ask, why do you want to work for us, this company? Research the company history on the web page. He can tell you more about the company you're attempting to work for. Network with possible friends, relatives, people may be working for that company that you can find out information for or from. and that way you got a good answer for that question. What do you want to work for us? You can say a little bit about the company history. You know people who work there. They've been there for a while. Indicates that you're not just wanting a job. You're looking for that job.
We also recommend that you take in a nice notebook or a pad of paper. A portfolio would be nice. Have a couple resumes on hand. This just shows the employer that you come prepared, and maybe a pen to take notes if they're asking you some things. You can have notes and reminders in your paperwork to kind of remind you of questions that you need to ask the employer, or if you're drawing a blank when they ask you a question. This is not ideal, but a lot of our younger people have never went on interviews before, so all of this is new to them. So these are things that you can do to kind of help you along the way. And it's really good to take notes of the interview. That way when you leave, if you feel like you answered something wrong, you can, you'll have something right there handy to jot down, well, I should have done this. You can kind of, hindsight's usually always kind of keeps you in track of where you kind of feel like you could be stronger on your next interview. With each of these, it absolutely is a learning experience. That way, your second and third one is going to be better than your first one.
My number 6 tip would be taking multiple copies of your resume. It's always a good idea to take multiple copies of your resume.
I stole one from him.
Because if you're doing a panel interview, it's nice to hand a copy to everybody in the room. That way they've got something to reference from. There needs to be enough for everybody. And I usually keep one for myself to refer back to if they ask me dates or some specific questions about the company I worked for before. I could glance back at that and kind of give them an accurate answer on that.
Well, if you have a long work history, it's really hard to remember your dates, so that's always good to have on hand. 7 is a portfolio of your work. If you have done work or projects, you can provide pictures, testimonials from employers that you have worked with in the past, newspaper articles, if you've done something that's been published in the newspaper. Include any awards, certificates, or trainings. Those would be listed in your portfolio as well. Photos of projects, if those are available. Newspaper clippings of the achievements or special presentations that you've achieved, that you've been awarded. These are all things, especially the certifications. If you've had any certifications that would make you more eligible for the job that you're applying for or that you're interviewing for, you definitely want to have those on hand when you go in for the interview that day.
Oh, yeah. And I've had people who have worked specific jobs. I've had musicians that has actually kept portfolios of stage shows and things that they've done.
Yeah.
I've had auto body people, car restoration folks that kept a journal, a notebook of some of the projects they've done.
Some before and after photos.
Yeah. And it's just good to have a visual. I know as an employer, we like to see stuff like that. So, and it's a chance to get to show off some of your work. So.
Yeah.
Number 8 on my list is to send thank yous. It's always good, if possible, to send a good handwritten thank you note to the employer, not just the hiring managers, but to the secretary and or the greeter you've met as you walked into the door. If it's not possible to send a handwritten letter, the next best would be an email. The email address or the telephone number can usually be gotten from a business card that's usually available. If not, ask the secretary maybe for their contact information so you can send that out. And it's best to do that within a 24-hour period after the interview. That way
You're fresh on their mind.
Yes.
Sorry, Brown.
No, that's it. That's it.
Number 9, what we're going to want to talk about is how to dress for success. Kind of some tips on what to do and what not to do in an interview. You don't want to wear shorts, flip-flops, t-shirts, jeans with holes in them. You want to make sure that what you are wearing is clean. You're going to kind of research the company and see what types of work they do and dress appropriately for those jobs. So, you know, if you're going to be working as a legal secretary, that's going to be totally different than if you're going to be a construction worker. But you're still going to want to keep, even as a construction worker, you're not going to wear construction clothes in. You're going to keep that business casual. Maybe as a legal secretary, you would be dressed up a little bit more.
And we always advise dressing according to the company dress code. And when going for an interview, maybe even a step above, just for the impression of the interview.
Yeah. There's some resources available to help you figure out what you need to wear and what not to wear in these types of situations. Again, those are things that we offer advice. If you're working with someone here in the Career Center, we can kind of help you along with that. And also, if those things are those types of clothes are things that you don't normally have, we have resources available to help you get interview clothes and help you out with that, because those things are expensive. So we can do different types of things around here within our agency and our partners to help with things like that also.
We are down to my top 10, which I think is the most important of all. Be on time.
That's like number one.
Be on time. Being late, for me, is a deal breaker right off the bat. My saying is, on time is 15 minutes late. 15 minutes early is on time. It's always a good idea to show up at least 15 minutes early. For nothing else, it gives you a chance to engage with the secretary or whoever they have greeting you as you come in.
You also want to be able to be prepared in case you have some issues, a flat tire, road construction, especially right now in Hazard, for sure.
Murphy's Law. You
Yes.
can guarantee if it can go wrong, it'll go wrong on
Yes.
that day for you.
Brian always recommends doing a test run, maybe if you're not familiar with where the company is, or leave really super early so you can make sure you get there early, but a test run maybe the day before to see where they're at and kind of see how much time it takes to get from your house to there. That way you're definitely not late the next day.
And being late definitely gives off a negative first impression. And as we said before, you never get a second chance for a first impression. And the last thing on our process is the offer. Once you went through the resume, the job search, the interview, comes the art of the negotiation, the offer. A lot of companies do not post this information, their pay scale online or on the job posting, but there's ways you can find this out. You can visit websites like onet.com. It gives a pay scale for that specific position you're applying for. ky.lmi.gov, Kentucky Labor Market Information.
A lot of times we will have that information because we've had someone who has previously been employed there, or we've worked close enough with that employer till we kind of know the pay scale for that job that they have posted.
And a lot of companies, through that information, will tell us the base pay, the top out pay, the pay scale, and what merits a higher pay. So we work with you on negotiating the highest pay you can get. Maybe that they offer a base rate, and then after 90 days, you get a percentage of a raise, and we can find that out for you. But it's all about the research of the position and linking your skills to the job, and not underselling or overselling yourself.
But this is the point throughout the job seeking process that money should be discussed, is during the offer.
Yeah, you really shouldn't bring that up during the interview,
Yeah.
because you wait till you get to offer before you start negotiating the pay rate.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you guys. And as always, if you're looking for a job, come and see me and Brian at the Kentucky Career Center.
We look forward to seeing you.
Have a good day.